I'm really fascinated by Nikon's announcement of their Z cameras. It doesn't surprise me at all. In the United States, back in the 90s, when 90% of the professional film photographers using 35mm equipment were shooting Nikon film cameras. I mean, back in the F3, F4, F5 days, it was really, the arrogance of the company was amazing. The attitude, it was terrible. It was like you had to use their cameras, and they were great cameras, but the company held you hostage in the sense that like the customer service sucked, and they just had this really arrogant attitude, and they would never, like, you just kept waiting for the next camera to come out because it was the perfect camera. And like, for example, with the F100, they made their attitude was, well, shoot a D5, shoot an F5, and there were a group of people, a whole bunch of photographers, that didn't want the weight of the F5. They wanted the capability of the F5, but they didn't want the weight of the F5. So the F100 came out, but Nikon had to cripple it. The Nikon F100 didn't have mirror lockup. It was like, the attitude was like, we want you to buy our F5, so we're not going to give you everything you want in your F100. And just constantly, Nikon's had a history of that. They were always top dog, and they were always like, we can do whatever you want. Kind of like Canon is the attitude Canon has today. And we're not going to give you what you want because we want to sell you other crap. And there's a lot of companies that are like that. It's like we don't want to give the customer what they want. We want to sell the customer what we want to sell them, and they're going to like it, or whether they like it or not. Harley Davidson is that way, and that they're going out of business, right? Because they're not making the motorcycles people want. They're raised their prices, and they're making the motorcycles they want to sell to people. All right, that's a bad strategy. But anyway, so Nikon's been that way for years. They made some really great equipment in spite of the marketing department that you could, but they never gave you everything you wanted. And here's an example of that again. And now, every once in a while, Nikon starts losing market share, and it scares them enough that the engineers override the marketing department, and they actually make products that the marketing department's probably gnashing their teeth going, oh God, you're giving people everything they want. That can't be right. Like the D700 and the D3 and the D300. Nikon was really losing it when those cameras came out, and so to Canon. Canon was kicking ass, and Nikon got scared, and the marketing department, kind of took a back seat, and somebody at Nikon said, we need to make some cameras that sell people what they want instead of selling what the marketing department wants. And they came out with the D3, D300, and D700. And you know what? That breathed some life into Nikon, so they lived to fight another day. Okay, that was then, this is now. Notice you can't get a D850. Well, the camera's got everything everybody wants. And the sad part is Nikon's proven that they can make a camera with everything in it that everybody wants. And so they come out with the Z7. The marketing department has struck again. The Z7 is not a D850. It's a crippled camera. There's parts in it that are missing. Because the marketing department said, well, if we give it to them all now, then all these idiots who buy a Z7 won't upgrade to our Z9. Okay. Meanwhile, Sony and wait until Canon comes along. But you know what? Canon is top dog, and I seriously doubt you basically with the Z7 and Z6 you got a middle of the road camera, which is not what people wanted. For top of the line prices, you can get a D850 for the price of a Z7. Why would you, cheaper? Why would you, assuming you could get one if they were in stock? Why would you buy a Z7? Right? It's just fascinating. I mean, here, they're going to sell them, but people shouldn't buy them. You're not getting what you want. You know, that's the appeal to me of like Fuji and Olympus and Panasonic even. Well, Panasonic is a whole nother. They're just, Panasonic makes toasters and like I mean, I'm not even sure the camera department at Panasonic is its own department. I'm not putting them down. I think they make great cameras. I'm just not 100% sure they know they make great cameras. I don't think they care that they make great cameras. Panasonic's a weird company. That's a whole nother. It's not a camera company. That's a whole nother ballgame. But like Olympus and Fuji, you know, their camera departments are solid, and they want to make. They're trying to make the best cameras they possibly can, and not holding anything back. The Olympus OMD1 EM1 Mark II. You know, Olympus isn't holding anything back there. That's the best camera that they can make right now, and they're selling it to you. They're throwing everything in there that they think you might want. Okay, and to the point where other camera companies are coming out with more advanced cameras. G9's kind of an equal camera, better in some ways, worse in others. EM1 Mark II is better in some ways, worse in others. The G9 and the EM1 Mark II are kind of still equal. But Olympus has not announced, but the rumors are that they're coming out with a new hot top-end camera in like first quarter 2019, which is kind of a fast reiteration of the top of the line. However, they might be doing more of a video. They could be coming like with an EM1 Mark H or something. That's a guess, total wild guess. But Nikon, man, they're doing it again. They're holding back. I don't know what they're waiting for, because they're just losing market share and they're pissing people off. I mean, at this point, Nikon is in trouble. You know, they're cutting back on staff. They're not selling as many cameras. They're in trouble, and they need to pull out all the stops and start selling people what they want to buy, not what Nikon wants to sell them. They are no longer, the 90% of the pros aren't, they don't have the market to themselves anymore. There's no room for that arrogance. This is a very competitive market, and Nikon needs to not hold back. If Nikon wanted to make a switch, they needed to release the top, they needed to put everything that everybody could ever want in all those cameras and sell the hell out of them. Because at this point, it's not like trying to nuance people into different cameras. At this point, it's just trying to get market share back, or not hemorrhage users to other mounts and systems. I don't know. Maybe I don't. You know, maybe they're counting on everybody buying this as another camera system. I don't know. I just don't see anybody buying that. I know people will, but I can't see anybody being enthusiastic about it. This was a real misstep. If Canon has their act together, which they don't, I predict Canon's going to come out with a mirrorless camera that's going to be like a, yeah, whatever, just like Nikon, you know. And what a great opportunity for Sony. Even though I hate Sony, I just can't get into Sony at all. I don't hate them, but to me, you know, no, that's not my thing. But if I needed a full frame right now, I'd be buying a Sony, you know, mirrorless. Why do I say that? Because, well, I don't need full frame and I won't buy Sony. But what's wrong with the K1? Well, you know what? I'm kind of, EVF is where it's at. I've made the transition, and when I shoot an optical viewfinder now, it's like I'm missing all the stuff that I use in the electronic viewfinder. The electronic viewfinders are that good right now. The last video I made, I know, is getting into Fuji because of the sale, and it's okay, but really, quite honestly, in comparing the two, the Olympus system really is scratching off a lot of boxes for me. You know, I know I said it has a noise issue, but I'm working on that. I'm trying to get around that and trying to deal with that. And if I can deal with that noise issue, which I think I can, there's again, these things are not as simple as it's not film. It's not as simple as it seems. Every camera is different now. Every sensor is different. And you need to learn how to get the best out of each sensor in each camera. So, so I think it's worth, I mean, I enjoy the form factor of the lenses and the bodies. And the Olympuses are a pleasure to shoot with. And you can get, I mean, even like the EM10 Mark II that I have. What a great little camera. Okay, what a great little camera. Now the EM10 Mark III, they dumbed down a little bit. I understand that. I'm not crazy about it. If you can get an EM10 Mark II, if you want to get into Olympus, that's the sweet spot for cost versus, you know, if you want to try the Micro Four Thirds system as a serious stills photographer, the EM10 Mark II for $500 with a lens is the way to go right now. That's my recommendation there. I just really enjoy. It's got a Leica feel to it. I'm not even talking about the Pen F. I'm talking just those tiny little. It's what you always wanted, was a tiny little camera with tiny little lenses that gives you the best quality possible. And you know, Micro Four Thirds is capable of 2-page magazine spread photographs, 20 by 30 fine art prints, Getty images except for Micro Four Thirds. Seriously, the quality's there. I'm not crazy about the noise I'm seeing in the skies, but I haven't put a lot of effort into mitigating that. And I'm going to try, you know, at the end, you know, 6 months from now, a year from now, if I really can't get the noise levels down to where I want, well, then there's always the Fuji system. No problem. But Nikon with the Z series, man, I mean, Nikon does it again. I mean, they laid a couple of eggs. That's what it really comes down to. And no matter how loud they cackle about it, you know, they're not very good eggs. I think, that's my opinion. I mean, I've never shot the camera, you know. Now remember, I shot D70, D200, D300, D700, D810. So I've had quite a few Nikons. I shot F3 film cameras. I still have an F100 film camera, Nikon F100. And I actually have a Nikon N80. I have 2 Nikon film bodies. And they're really, the F100 was a spectacularly good camera if it only had mirror lockup. So that's where it's at. So anyway, the video program is like, yeah, whatever. I'm working on it. Patreon, I'm mailing those prints out. I gotta get my printer fired up. So anybody who was a Patreon supporter as of August 1st, I'm sending you a print. Just send me a message through Patreon with your address where I can mail you your print, and they'll be going out. Give me a couple of weeks to send them out. I got to fire up my printer, and I still have not even plugged in my printer since I moved. My printer has not had electricity to it in at least 6 months. It's that bad. So, you know, but as you can tell, I'm getting back into it, and I'm excited. The cool weather's coming. Monday it's supposed to be 67 degrees here, finally, and things are cooling off, and it's wonderful, and I'm starting to come to life again, so that's great. I just can't do the heat. I hate it. I hate summer. I spend the whole summer waiting for it to cool down. And I'd love spring except for allergies. But fall and winter, we're coming into the best part of the year. So anyway, Ed with Photo Universe, thanks for watching. Again, I'm losing the light, but I appreciate it, and have a good one. Thanks.